Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining today. My name is Toby Cordelio. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management and Strategic Initiatives for the MSC program, and I am excited today to welcome Anne-Marie Adams, Assistant Director of the MSC program, to talk to us about co-curricular offerings in the MSC program. Anne-Marie has been with MSC, I want to say 7 years now, and is also an alum of the MSC program. Another representative, Kaylee, and I as well, and Randy, all alumni and all working for the program. But today we're going to be talking about the beyond the curriculum, right? The extra stuff that comes along. And so I want to just kind of hurry up and get out of the way and let Anne-Marie tell you a little bit more about her role with the MSC program, as she will be a partner with you throughout your experience and the co-curricular offerings within the MSC. So Anne-Marie, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. As Toby mentioned, I'm Anne-Marie Adams. I'm the Assistant Director of the MSC program, and I also teach for the MSC. I teach a course on interpersonal communication, as well as the capstone course that all students in the custom leadership program take. In my role, I implement academic programming and advise students on their coursework. I also manage both financial and academic operations, and I oversee student affairs. As Toby mentioned, I'm an alumna of the class of 2011. Before I came to MSC, I was working in marketing and communications for a large insurance company doing financial literacy. I quickly found that that was not the place for me, and I knew I wanted to expand my skill set, and that's what led me to the MSC program. So I feel like I've finally come full circle and I'm right where I'm meant to be. The best part of my job is that I get to work with students every day. So I'm really excited to talk to all of you about co-curricular programming. Admittedly, it can be challenging to find time to be reflective in any program, but especially when it's a one-year program. So we've built in spaces to help students think more on a macro level, and that's through co-curricular programming. It's important to note that all of our co-curricular programming that we offer can be done through an in-person or online delivery format. So when we talk about co-curricular programming, we're referring to activities, programs, and learning experiences that complement, in one way or another, what students learn in the classroom. So this is optional programming that is offered throughout the week and weekend when you are not in class. For those of you who live out of town, we typically record all of our co-curricular programming and we later post it to Canvas, which is our learning management software that we use at Northwestern. So let's take a look at the offerings that we have throughout the MSC program. The first is called An Evening With. This is a speaker series, which we typically hold quarterly, alternating between Evanston and Chicago campuses. Topics here include things like storytelling, negotiations, personal branding, and communication campaigns. The second is called Food for Thought. This is typically held quarterly during the lunch hour. Both speaker series are completely optional for our students, and dates/signups are listed in Canvas. We also invite alumni to these events, which creates a great opportunity for networking and community building. I listed topics here for Food for Thought, but I would also mention that for all of our co-curricular programming, this is really based or built upon the experiences and needs or desires and what's of interest to our current students. So last year, our students asked us to talk about mastermind groups and how to start your own business or your own consulting group. So we brought in speakers to help address those interests based on our student feedback. Academic advising and capstone connections. One of my roles in the MSC program is to help students situate course content into their lives, both professionally and personally. Within the advising function, I help students draw connections between the coursework and MSC's core curricular themes, learning outcomes, and dispositions. I believe Amy Howenstein, one of my colleagues, talked recently about the coursework and how it all kind of threads together. So I really help students make those connections more intentionally. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the capstone instructor for the Custom Leadership Program. So I host quarterly lunches and webinars for our students. Throughout the year, I help students to focus on how to think, not what to think. That's something that students can come into a graduate program a little bit confused about. Typically, when you're in undergrad or even in high school, people will think, what is it that my professor wants? What is it that will get me an A? And I really try to focus with students about stretching their skill sets and their minds to really push themselves outside the box, to think differently about their thought processes and how they arrive at their truths. So throughout the year, I help students, learn different tools and strategies to help them succeed while they're a student in our program. We truly view MSC as a learning laboratory. This is a place where you will have a low or practically no risk opportunity to try out new skills and experiences. Each quarter, I host a day-long lab focused on strategic and tactical skills related to a relevant communication topic. This can be anything from PR to crisis management, communication campaigns. Again, I build this off of the interests of our students, but we bring in industry experts to help students hone some of these skills that are of most interest to them. Creative branding and design, is being offered every year, and this is a wildly popular co-curriculum that we offer. One of the things that we hear students telling us year over year is that they're being asked to do more graphic design in their roles, and they've needed help with this. So this was our response to that need. We have two adjunct faculty, Betsy Cole and Fez Razi. They are two people that we've paired together to offer a hands-on instruction to professional design software. Here they talk about the basics of typography, color, graphic design for both print and web. One of the things that I know I would have enjoyed, and I'm sure Toby would have as well, during our time was creative branding and design, because there is no graphic design experience that's required to take this co-curriculum, but the professional collateral that our students put together with Betsy and Fez is just outstanding, and it really complements the work that they do throughout our program. So these workshops are offered once quarterly on Thursday, typically Thursday evenings, and then followed by a Saturday lunch session. Students sign up for drop-in sessions whenever they need them, and they attend these workshops throughout the year. They build their collateral and really focus on their professional brand. So if I was to look up Anne-Marie Adams online, if I Google my name, what is it that would come up? What is it that you see on Facebook? What is it that you see on my personal website? We ask students to do this for themselves and to see if they can see this coherent story being told throughout each of these different mediums. And most of the time, our students at the end of the year have a really cohesive story that they want to project out into the world. And that is what Fez and Betsy do so beautifully with all of our students. I just mentioned a little while ago, my colleague, Amy Howenstein. She is the Director of Curriculum and Non-Degree Programs. Amy oversees a Cultural Intelligence and Managing Inclusion workshop series. So this is really cultivating equity and inclusion. And that's something that industry leaders year over year and organizations are realizing is truly invaluable. This lunchtime workshop series focuses on self-exploration and reflection by increasing cultural intelligence and inclusive management skill sets. Key topics and guest speakers join Amy throughout the year to help students understand how exactly to cultivate equitable professional cultures. Usually I ask Amy to lead one of our learning laboratories in which they do a one-day cultural intelligence and managing inclusion workshop. So she brings in different guest speakers and helps students work through, again, their thought processes and how it impacts the workplace. Some signature events that MSC offers includes an annual holiday party, happy hour, and a spring and summer barbecue. This gives students a chance to commemorate milestones along the way to graduation with faculty, staff, and alumni. All of our events are listed in Canvas along with links for RSVPs. So we really make sure that we keep everything cohesive and in one spot in a communication hub for all students for them to find their information. There's also an MSC events page that we update regularly for other opportunities to network with alumni. Our MSC Alumni Association is extremely active and they frequently have guest speaker series. So we always encourage our students to join them whenever they're able. In response to students asking us for more programming throughout the year, I know that sounds probably odd, that they always want more, but students have told us that there are times in which they want to focus on one particular area of research or topic. In response to that, we've created enrichment tutorial series that we offer all of our students. These are, once again, completely optional for our students and for them to do at their own pace. Many of these are meant to inform and inspire our students' capstone projects or basically their personal interests. Oftentimes, students take these enrichment tutorial series during their quarter breaks, and it's something that we've received really positive feedback on. The one that I have listed on the screen right now is all about personal branding co-curriculum. That also ties in a bit to our capstone that students take throughout the year, but this really helps the students focus on their personal brand and what is projected outwardly. So this is just an overview of all of the co-curricular programming that we've discussed. It is all listed in the curriculum guides that we provide our students throughout the year. I would just once again remind everyone on this webinar that all of this is something that we create and switch up throughout each year depending on each cohort. We find that all of our cohorts are a little bit different, and so their interests change year over year. So this is something that's really important to us, and it's a really nice complement to the curriculum that you've already heard about. So I'm happy to take any questions that anybody has about co-curricular programming or the program in general.
This was great. Thank you, Anne-Marie. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to go ahead and submit those in the chat, and we can pick Anne-Marie's brain about her experience with the co-curriculars, etc. While you guys are thinking about questions and entering them in, I had meant to say in the beginning, but forgot. So Anne-Marie and I are both alumni from 2011 and 12. And none of this existed when we were students. So I just think it's worth mentioning kind of how the program continues to evolve, and these co-curriculars are a response both to student needs and market needs. And I think a big differentiator for the MSc program. So I know a lot of you are looking at different program options right now and kind of weighing the pros and cons of different programs to apply to. But I would put the co-curricular offerings of the MSc program up against anybody, and that's in great thanks to Anne-Marie and the work that she's done the past few years putting these together.
To Toby's point, I would add, when we went through the program, he's right, we didn't have these, but it's really interesting to see the students and their progression going through the program, because while we have our incredible world-renowned faculty who are amazing and experts in their fields, to also have it complemented with industry experts and guest speakers who come in is kind of that perfect blend of the overall experience where you have the coursework and then you also have the experiential learning component. And that is what I think sets this program apart. And I truly wish that I could have gone through the program now, but it's okay because we get to see it through the eyes of our students. So.
Like it. One thing, so we talked a couple weeks ago with Pat Messina about career services and coaching, and there's a lot of program that she offers as well. So I think that there is one caveat that most, if not all of this is optional. And then Pat also talked about the importance of kind of the one-on-one individual coaching sessions with her. Can you talk a little bit about academic advising along the way? I know that before students start the program, they're all invited to have one-on-one conversations with you about the program. And can you just talk a little bit about what those entail and what academic advising also looks like throughout the program?
Absolutely. So for each of our students, we ask them to complete academic advising. And it's different for each person, but I really try to make this an interactive partnership. Academic advising is this developmental process in which students talk to me and clarify their personal, professional, academic goals in terms of their educational plans. And so we think through, what is it that you want to accomplish in the program? What are your goals? What brought you here? And what are you seeing in the classroom? So it's really an interactive partnership. But in the first quarter, what we talk about is collaborative leadership. That is the core curricular theme for the quarter that I'm sure you've heard about. In the winter, it's about managing complexity. So we really start to focus in on what are the terminology that you're hearing in your class? Where is it that you're seeing collaborative leadership? And how exactly can we work that into our students' lexicon? And how do they project that outwardly or talk about it outside of MSC? So when you're talking to your employer, are you listing the theories that you had in class, or are you making those connections? One of the great things about our program, I think, is that you don't have to wait to implement any of these theories in the workplace. You're doing it the next Monday that you're at work. So with students, I really take the first quarter to talk about what they're hearing. How do we work that into conversations, and making sure that we understand how all of the theories work into the overarching MSc degree.
I like it. Yeah. And I think that it's just important, like I said, to highlight the individual attention that you can expect as a student in the program that I agree just doesn't happen everywhere else.
Yeah, and I meet with the students, I should have added, I meet with the students at least once each quarter. There are occasionally times where students want to meet more than that. I have one student right now where we meet every, I think, Thursday morning for 15, 20 minutes. And for that particular student, that helps them. We talk about the course content, what they saw the week before. That doesn't happen with every student. Not every student would want to meet for academic advising every week, but I just offer that as an example of students who would want to meet frequently to other students who just want to touch base once each quarter.
I was curious, so we're talking all about, with the assumption that we're all going to be back in person next fall, right?
Yeah.
But I think that we've had some really nice learnings from the transition from mostly in person to mostly virtual over the past 9 months. Can you talk a little bit about that transition, how some of the in-person events have moved to online? I think that there are trade-offs to all of that, but I think that there have been some good things come out of it as well.
Yeah, I think, when I think back on the time in which we had to go online, and it was a quick turnaround, and we certainly didn't think it would last longer than a few weeks, or I didn't. It was a pretty flawless transition because I mentioned Canvas. We use that so often in our program that our students were used to it. Having speakers who can come on virtually through Zoom has actually expanded our network of speakers who are available. And it has also allowed for our students to log on for an hour at lunchtime or to not have to make a drive to campus after hours. So it has worked out really well. I think that one of the benefits, though, is that we're able to bring in some additional speakers that we might not have had previously due to geographic, hurdles. who've been able to join us, but for the most part, it's been a really flawless transition. I do expect, though, for us to be in person in the fall. I think that we'll continue, though, to offer more speaker series online as much as we can going forward, in addition to what we would normally do in person. I realized how often students actually log on, even when it's virtual, which was a little bit surprising to me in the beginning, but we've had a really great turnout. So I think in the future, it would just be in addition to, not in place of, co-curricular programming.
Yeah, we have one tonight, right? Isn't there's
Yeah.
and it's, I think half the class is signed up to
Yes.
join on a Wednesday night. Yeah.
Yes, we have somebody coming in tonight to talk about actually giving presentations online, and how to rock a Zoom presentation. We have a 3-time Emmy speaker coming in tonight to talk to us. She typically does in-person presentations, but was happy to do so online.
Yeah, I like it. Quiet group today, not a lot of questions. So I'm going to ask one more question and then we'll let everybody get on with their day. So not at all related to co-curricular, but as an alum, you have a unique perspective, kind of having watched the program evolve. But I'm curious if you'd be willing or able to share just some of the biggest takeaways for you as a student, some of the things that you enjoyed or feel like you got the most out of as an alumni coming through the program.
Yeah, one of the things that I tell everybody that I love about the MSC program, or communication in general, is that communication transcends every industry. So unlike other master's programs that you might find where everybody is in finance or everybody is in one particular field, we have a really diverse group of students in terms of background, skill set, job function. And so for my program, we had students there. One person owned a concrete business who was in his 30s. Other people were in consulting. I was in marketing for an insurance company. We had people who did their own consulting or were in healthcare industries. And so I really got to meet every week somebody different who was someone I thought that I would not have met otherwise. And while I was having these conversations with people, I felt really like I was almost on a job interview, in a lower stakes, thankfully, situation. But I really got to learn about the different skill sets that people could use across industries, but all focused on communication. And I think our faculty, I mentioned them earlier, they're just incredible humans. You could reach out to a faculty member today who you had 5 years ago, and even if they don't remember you exactly, they remember your class. They will help you through any particular situation. They'll talk to you about theory. That's what they love. That's, their work. And so it's really incredible to kind of have these connections, both personally with your faculty and your peers, but to also have this really supportive group of people who go through the same experience as you. I think anytime you go through an academic program, nobody can experience what it's like to be a grad student at Northwestern's Master of Science in Communication program, except for their alumni. And each cohort is a little bit different. So it's interesting to see their personalities come to life. So for me, it was all of the things, but I really enjoyed seeing so many diverse people in my cohort.
That's great. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody for joining today. I think that we're gonna, oh, we have a question. This is what always happens is we're getting ready to wrap up and then we get questions coming in, which is great. Malik asks, hello, I have a question regarding storytelling. Does it fall under several mediums like writing, filming?
Yes, it does actually. And that is another great thing about our capstone course that we have. So storytelling will come in many different forms and you will deliver it in several mediums, including writing. Some students have done podcasts in the past. We have students who film themselves doing value proposition statements or elevator pitches, talking about themselves and how they've grown throughout the program, the skill sets that they offer future employers or current employers. So we really try to make sure that our students are delivering and master communicators across as many mediums as possible. And it's highly encouraged that students expand their skill set in whatever way possible. We have students who use something called a Lightboard Studio throughout the program. It's basically a room that you can go into at Northwestern. You can write and record yourself, and it will transpose the words so that it looks like you're writing forward. Anyway, it is a really cool software that we have access to here. So we frequently have students who go into our Lightboard Studio and do recordings either for final projects or definitely for the capstone.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you for your question, Malik. And again, thank you to everybody for joining today. This has been recorded and we're going to have it up online as soon as possible if you want to come revisit. And then we do have another session next Wednesday where we have 2 alumni of the MSC program who just graduated this last August are going to talk about their experience joining the program. And so you can hear some firsthand stories from their time in the program for the last year. And a big thank you to Anne Marie for joining us today as well and sharing all of her knowledge around the co-curricular activities that we have to offer here in MSC. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll let you go. Have a nice day.
All right, thank you.